Some of the most terrifying monsters in horror movies aren't just the product of a screenwriter's imagination. They're rooted in real folklore, legends, and ancient beliefs that have haunted cultures for centuries. These films tap into primal fears, drawing on stories told and retold around campfires, in villages, and across generations. Today we're breaking down 8 horror movies where the monster is based on real folklore, explaining the origins, the film's interpretation, and why these legends still terrify us. If you've ever wondered where the line between myth and movie monster blurs, this is the definitive guide to folklore-based horror. 1. The Ritual, 2017. The Ritual is a British horror film that follows 4 friends hiking in the Swedish wilderness, where they encounter a terrifying creature stalking them through the forest. The monster at the heart of the Ritual is the Jotun, a being from Norse mythology. In Norse legend, Jotun are giants or nature spirits, often associated with chaos, wilderness, and the untamed forces of the world. The film's creature is specifically inspired by the god Loki's monstrous offspring and the forest spirits of Scandinavian folklore. In The Ritual, the Jotun is depicted as a towering elk-like creature with human arms and a face embedded in its chest, a design that's both original and deeply rooted in mythic imagery. The Jotun in the film is worshipped by a local cult that offers human sacrifices in exchange for protection and immortality. This echoes real Norse practices of appeasing nature, spirits, and gods through ritual offerings. The monster's ability to manipulate the forest, create hallucinations, and instill overwhelming fear in its victims is consistent with the way ancient people described encounters with the supernatural in the wild. The Ritual stands out for its authentic use of Norse folklore, blending ancient myth with modern survival horror to create a monster that feels both ancient and terrifyingly real. The Witch, 2015. The Witch, subtitled A New England Folktale, is a period horror film set in 1630s colonial America. The story centers on a Puritan family exiled to the edge of a dark forest, where they are tormented by supernatural forces. The film's monsters are witches, the devil, and the goat, Black Phillip, all drawn directly from European and early American folklore. Witchcraft was a real and deadly fear in 17th century New England, with accusations leading to executions and mass hysteria. The witch meticulously recreates the language, beliefs, and superstitions of the era. The witches in the film are depicted as child-stealing, shape-shifting, and capable of flying, traits found in both European and American witch legends. Black Phillip, the family's goat, is revealed to be the devil in disguise, echoing folklore where Satan appears as a black animal to tempt or corrupt the faithful. The film's climax, where Thomason signs the devil's book and joins the witches, is a direct reference to confessions and testimonies from real witch trials. The witch's power comes from its authenticity. Every supernatural element is rooted in period-accurate folklore, making the horror feel like a living nightmare from the past. 3. The Wailing, 2016. The Wailing is a South Korean horror film that blends shamanic folklore, demonic possession, and rural superstition. The story follows a policeman investigating a series of violent deaths and illnesses in a remote village, all seemingly connected to a mysterious Japanese stranger. The film's monster is a shape-shifting demon, rooted in Korean shamanic beliefs about evil spirits, Gwishin, and the dangers of foreign supernatural influence. In Korean folklore, shamans, mudang, are called upon to exorcise malevolent spirits, and the rituals depicted in the film are based on real shamanic practices. The Wailing's demon manipulates the villagers, causes hallucinations, and possesses people to commit murder. The film also features a good shaman who tries to combat the evil, but the lines between good and evil spirits are blurred, reflecting the ambiguity of real shamanic traditions. The film's climax, involving a ritual battle between shamans and the demon, is a direct nod to Korean folk beliefs about spiritual warfare. The Wailing is praised for its authentic portrayal of rural superstition and the real fear of demonic possession in Korean culture. 4. The Babadook, 2014. The Babadook is an Australian psychological horror film, but its monster is inspired by real folklore archetypes. The Babadook itself is a boogeyman figure, drawing on European and Australian legends of shadowy creatures that torment children and the grieving. While the Babadook is not a direct adaptation of a single legend, it incorporates elements from the Baba Yaga of Slavic folklore, the Baba of Australian Aboriginal stories, and the universal concept of the boogeyman. In the film, the Babadook appears as a top-hatted, shadowy figure from a mysterious children's book, haunting a mother and her son as they struggle with grief. The Babadook's power comes from its ability to feed on negative emotions, particularly grief and denial. This is consistent with folklore about spirits that grow stronger when ignored or repressed. The film's resolution, where the Babadook is acknowledged and contained rather than destroyed, mirrors traditional advice for dealing with boogeymen: face your fears rather than run from them. The Babadook's folkloric roots make it a modern classic, showing how ancient archetypes can be reimagined for contemporary audiences. 5. The Autopsy of Jane Doe, 2016. The Autopsy of Jane Doe is a supernatural horror film that centers on a mysterious, unidentified corpse found at a crime scene. As the coroners perform the autopsy, they discover increasingly bizarre and impossible injuries, leading them to realize that Jane Doe is actually a witch from the Salem era. The film's monster is based on American witchcraft folklore, particularly the legends surrounding the Salem witch trials. In the film, Jane Doe's body is covered in ritualistic markings, and her internal organs show signs of torture and witchcraft rituals. The supernatural events that occur during the autopsy, unexplained noises, moving corpses, and hallucinations, are all attributed to the witch's curse. The idea of a witch's body retaining supernatural power after death is rooted in real folklore. In colonial America, it was believed that witches could curse their accusers from beyond the grave, and that their bodies needed to be treated with special rituals to prevent further harm. The Autopsy of Jane Doe uses these legends to create a chilling, claustrophobic horror experience, where the monster is both a victim and a vengeful spirit. 6. The Relic, 2020. The Relic is an Australian horror film that explores the concept of ancestral spirits and the supernatural consequences of neglecting family and tradition. The film follows 3 generations of women as they confront a mysterious force in their family home. The monster in The Relic is a spirit inspired by Australian Aboriginal beliefs about ancestral hauntings and the connection between the living and the dead. The film never names the entity, but its behavior, manifesting as mold, causing memory loss, and physically transforming the house, echoes Aboriginal stories about spirits that punish those who forget their roots. The Relic's horror is psychological and supernatural. The entity feeds on the family's fear and disconnection, growing stronger as the women become more isolated. The film's climax, in which the family must confront and accept the spirit rather than destroy it, reflects Aboriginal traditions of honoring ancestors and of facing the past. The Relic stands out for its respectful, authentic use of folklore, employing supernatural horror to explore themes of memory, family, and cultural inheritance. 7. The Wind, 2018. The Wind is a horror western set on the American frontier, where a woman named Lizzie is tormented by supernatural forces while isolated on the prairie. The film's monster is a wind demon, inspired by American frontier legends and Native American folklore about evil spirits in the wilderness. In the film, the wind is more than just a natural force. It's a supernatural presence that brings madness, hallucinations, and death. Lizzie and her neighbors believe that the wind carries evil spirits, a belief rooted in real pioneer superstitions and Native American stories about the dangers of the untamed land. The wind uses the isolation and harshness of the frontier to create a sense of vulnerability, with the supernatural entity preying on loneliness and fear. The film's ambiguous ending leaves it unclear whether the demon is real or a product of Lizzie's psychological breakdown, but the folklore roots are clear. The Wind is a rare example of horror that draws on American folk beliefs, using the landscape itself as a source of supernatural terror. 8. The Empty Man, 2020. The Empty Man is a supernatural horror film that blends urban legend, Buddhist folklore, and the concept of the tulpa, a thought form that becomes real through belief. The film follows a former detective investigating a series of disappearances linked to a cult that worships the Empty Man. The monster in The Empty Man is based on the idea of a tulpa, a being created by collective belief and fear. The film's cult members perform rituals to summon the Empty Man, who appears as a shadowy, skeletal figure that drives people to madness and suicide. The Empty Man's power comes from the spread of the legend itself. The more people believe in and fear the Empty Man, the stronger he becomes. This is consistent with Buddhist and Himalayan folklore about tulpas, as well as modern urban legends like Slender Man. The film explores how belief can create real supernatural consequences, with the Empty Man's influence growing as the cult's rituals spread. The monster is both a product of ancient folklore and a commentary on the viral nature of modern myths. These 8 films prove that the scariest monsters are often the ones rooted in real folklore, whether it's a Norse forest god, a vengeful witch, or a demon born from collective fear. These stories tap into ancient anxieties that still resonate today. By drawing on legends that have survived for centuries, these movies remind us that some fears are universal and that the line between myth and reality is thinner than we think. Which folklore-based horror monster do you find the most chilling? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more horror content that explores the real legends behind the scares.